morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So I had ordered this book online, and it's called The Return of the Bird Tribes by Ken Carey. And this book was recommended by my teacher. So I'm going to give shout out and props to Phil Gruber because this is a really good book. So I want to share one part in here because I just started reading this, and this book is packed full of really good stuff. And so I've shared my story in the past about this bird entity, this bird lady that I have seen in astral traveling. And the first time that I seen her, I was with my mother in an astral travel. And she was a lady and she was bird at the same time. She had like her nose was a bird beak. It looked like an eagle's beak, but I don't know. It didn't really look like it was the same type of skin or whatever's on a bird beak. It looked more like skin, but it was a bird beak. There's no doubt. There's no mistake in a bird beak. So anyway, I feel like that this is connected to my mom's maternal line. My mom's paternal line, I've never talked about my mom's father's side of the family, and there's a lot of trauma that's tied up in that family line that I've had to unravel over time. But I want to read part of this book because there's some really interesting stuff in here that kind of ties in with this information that I've shared from these bird people. And I know that they were the first people to seeded humanity, a version of humanity on this planet. And so this book talks about from the beginning. It's talking about how this book is basically a communication from the bird beings to humanity. Okay, and this book was written well, somebody gifted it in 1991. But you have to remember that the planetary ascension cycle started in 1989. So this is interesting material because there's not coincidences about these dates. And this is one of the things that we're going to do. We're going to read this section, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to share some information that I found that pertains to the solar system, because I've been visiting the World Mother. She's teaching me science, and one of the things that I'm learning about right now is how she comes through with the star Polaris, because we have every 26,000 years the precession of the equinox, and this is when she comes back, and she's the World Mother. She's a World Mother, and well, she comes and she's always on the North Pole. She's on the North Pole, but there's polarity on the South Pole. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm going to start reading this. Okay. So I'm going to just get to this part, the most interesting parts that I want to share. Listen, and I will tell you of my kind, of the few who have remained to teach and guide you throughout your twilight age. I will tell you of our patient work. As century by century, we brought the fearful ones closer and closer to the time of their deliverance and the time of birth salvation, 26,000 years. I will tell you also of the gentle tribes from which we come, the tribes whom now we call angels, but in whom in simpler days were known by another name. For thousands of gentle circlings of this earth, around her star, the peoples of the Americas, the Highlanders of Asia, the natives of Central Africa, and the earth people, the world over, have known us as the bird tribes. Except for a few of us who have remained to guide and influence the course of your histories, the better part of the bird tribes have not been incarnate in the human form during historical times, though always we have been there in nature and in the spirit worlds around you. Some 25 centuries ago, so 2,500 years ago, most of us departed to wait for the returning of your intelligence and to slow the turning of the sacred cycles that would favor your awakening. So it is the bird people that have intervened right now for this mass awakening. Okay, we are returning now, appearing like the first stars in the pre-dawn clearing of a storm. Into your consciousness we come, appearing subtly, at first a whisper among your dreams, But steadily our presence grows, soon to shine as distinctly as the sun of morning. Son of morning, morning sun. Okay, we come now with a message that will prove vital to you in these last years of history's night. We call to you, human ones, beings of light, rise up from your tradition-bound past, indoctrination, and become our creative partners in the continuing unfoldment of wonder. Rise from your cultures to remember your origins and your nature. Light bodies, like stars, agreeing to stay in specified temperature ranges for certain periods of time, creating time and space. I'm sorry, guys, my dog sees a lizard. Distances between you, painting spatial landscapes on the screen of time, drawing stardust into dancing fields of your light. Today you express in tongues and tanks and desert irrigation projects and urban parks, towers of glass and steel, and ideas that people have in ways that people live. Yet your past is no indication of your potential. Compared to an artist full bloom in the flower of her time, history's accomplishments are but those of a child groping blindly in a darkened room. When you incarnate man, know that behind you is the same brilliance, light, and warmth that expresses so passionately in the nuclear release of the stars. And when you incarnate woman, know that behind you is the power of the creative power of the new, the balance, the synthesis, the power of truth. When you will know that there is no threat to your life, to your existence, you will know there's nothing to fear, for the immense powers of mother and father aspects of God have joined together in the creation of a material universe designed for your support and flourishment. For 3.5 billion years on this earth, we of the angelic realms have fine-tuned and sustained the precise planetary temperatures most conducive to your growth and development. You have nothing to fear as you move into the style of cooperation with us and with your Creator. You are in good hands and well loved. Until recently, you were not in a position to understand these things. For so long as you opened your heart to the frequencies of fear, you used your power to give credibility to fear's illusion. So here we go. We're feeding into the negative polarity of the planet, right? And the other thing is that since we're creator beings and then we're prompted with, well, we don't have a bicameral mind anymore, so we've been prompted and prodded with fear propaganda, so that we manifest a reality that is not co-creating with our Creator, with God. So this is what they're talking about, that we have manifested a kind of reality like this, living in a fear, because we're ignorant. We don't know. We've been sleeping. Okay, until recently, it says we weren't in a position because we've given power to credibility to fear's illusion. And it says we will help you now to tune into the frequencies that will heal your world, draw you towards your future in the stars. Listen and sense behind these words. The frequencies of love, where an internal creator's designs are ever unfolding in time. We are the winged ones of heaven. Your reflection is perfect love, the missing dimension needed in your wholeness. We are the spiritual guardians of the earth. Welcome us into your consciousness. Blend with us. Remember, know yourself as truly, fully human. So if they're talking about the heart center, we're talking about 8th dimensional space. And this is the angelic realms. This is the 8th dimension. And so in 8th density, this is Gaia. This is etherical body. This is the 3rd density. Okay, so yeah, this is, this is angelic realms here. So, these bird people, they are in the 8th dimensional space. And so this is the heart zone. This is the Emerald Order. This is the Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is a representation of the Emerald Heart. And the Melchizedeks, which is funny because the Melchizedeks are the kings of Mene, and you can trace these people back to King Darius. So it's quite obvious that we come in all shades. Okay, it's not about our skin color. We just come from different types of animals, and this is all. And the first ones were birds. The first ones are birds. Okay. All right, so the true human can tune into everything. It's saying here that you can tune into everything and give it expression, that you can tune into the water, that you can tune into the elements of everything, the wind, the air, everything, fire, you know, the planet, that we can tune into every type of energy manifestation in matter, ever changing, ever flowing into something always capable of more expression. And so so the true human gives voice to the essences of all created things, but the first and central voice of the true human is the voice of the Great Spirit. And so listen to what they say, the voice of God says. And this is really beautiful. And, you know, I always say that people, you know, there are a lot of people that don't understand the Bible, and that the Bible has been written in such a manner to make us feel like God is a human being sitting in a chair floating on a cloud. And that is just not what God is. God cannot be put into a manifestation. Is outside of the whole spectrum of any polarity. So God is everything. This whole thing is God's attention on us. And if we fail to have the attention, if the attention is not put on it, the intent is not put on it, we fail to exist. That this whole holographic realm that we're in is an intention. Okay, I appear in sea, in wind, in soil, in starlight, in the sun I appear in the mountains, in desert rain. I am the star and I am the stone. I am the bird, I am the fish, I am the sky and sea. One and whole, internally. I come differentiating, multiplying, refracting, like a ray of light. Through 10,000 water droplet prism pearls suspended in Earth's highest sphere, shining I come to touch the surface of this matter world in a splashing multicolored chorus of light men and light women, created to bring beauty, love, order, and grace to the sacred dance of atomic form. Stardust, frozen starlight. So we're called frozen starlight. So in this first chapter here, it talks about this little message about who these beings are, and where they say that, you know, how long they've been here and what they're doing. So, you know, as the World Mother has been talking to me about these equinoxes and these stars lining up on these poles, the one thing that I've learned is that right now, because we're in the precession of the equinox, that our Earth is tilted on an axis, okay, because we've had pole shifts. And the reason this happens is when different archetypes from these different solar systems come to the planet, if their energy frequency, and they weigh the planet, they weigh the energy of the planet, and whatever way that it's going is which way it goes. So it can flip, and it has, and they've done it. So I go back 3.5 million years, and I'm trying to study what were the stars that were aligned on the North Pole and the South Pole at that time, because according to the World Mother, those are the beings that are here. Okay, because if you get lined up with the pole, that's how they bring their energy in. This is how they, you know, they come. It's their time to be in service on the planet. Every one of these systems, they have different jobs. They all have, this is cosmic order. And so they all come into their orbit, and they line certain times in history, in time spans, and it's around every 4,000 years, 26,000 increments divided into 4, divided into 2. So you have these increments, and there are different planetary arrangements that come around the North and the South Pole. When the 26,000 year marks, there are a bunch of different planets that if you stuck a rod through the middle of the Earth's poles, and one came out the north and one came out the south, there are all these planets that you could literally stick on this pole in a straight line. And right now they're all lined up. And this is because we're in the ascension cycle. This is when all the stargates are open. All the energy gates are open on the planet. Okay, so 3.5 million years ago, and this brings a whole interesting thing to this. So 3.5 million years ago, you have to go with an AI app on here to figure out what exactly was going on, because we've had pole shifts. Okay, so 3.5 billion years ago, we'd have to consider the precession cycles, and then we'd have to consider the movement of the stars over time. We'd also have to consider that the tilt of the Earth's axis has changed. So, you know, you have to take into account. So I used an AI app to try to figure out as closely as we could in precise accuracy what these two systems would be. So it gave me the closest estimated guess that it could calculate through all of, the estimations that it was able to do, that 3.5 billion years ago would have been 135,000 precession cycles of the equinox. So 135,000 harvests on this planet. 135,000 harvests. Okay? Holy hell. Okay, so we've had tilts, many tilts, many catastrophes. So we've had, I can't even believe this, that we've had 135,000 precessions on this planet. This is how old this planet is and how long this stuff has been happening on this planet. We don't even scratch the surface of what we know about our history. Okay. So 3.5 billion years ago, it says the star Alpha Lyrae. So these are the Lyra Vegas that were here on the North Pole. This totally makes sense as to why the World Mother looks like Inuit or Mongolian, is because of this star system. She's from Vega. Alpha Lyrae. So I'm just like, okay. So then you also think, okay, well, what had to be on the South Pole? Because if this is the beginning of the polarity experiment, or the beginning of seeding of humanity, right, on the planet 3.5 billion years ago, that this whole thing was starting to be set up in this material realm, what kind of energy were we putting on the South Pole? Okay, so the guess that AI gave me was A Crux, which is Alpha Crucis. Okay, this star system is called the Southern Cross. Cross, anyone? Christ consciousness. This is where Christ comes from. The Christ consciousness came in 3.5 billion years ago. The mother came in is from the Christ constellation of A Crux, and through Vega, through Lyrae. I mean, oh my goodness, Alpha Lyrae. These were the Lyrans. These were the lions. So no wonder she looks like a wolf being. No wonder she has that wolf fur on her. I was wondering. So she's an amalgamation. So they had to originally come from Venus. And they started this 3.5 billion years ago. Is that not insane? And see, placeholders here right now. We're just being born into these family lines. Because, Benji, stop it. I'm sorry, guys. Knock it off. They were being born into these family lines. And they're coming into these family lines because they have to have the codes to do the work. And then, we have a lot of memories of these family lines because it's imprinted on our blood. Our blood is programs. The programs are in our blood. And the interesting thing is that being a wolf, they don't have any antigens on their blood cells, right? Which is the same as Rh negative. And if you go back and look at the Basque people, they claim that they come from wolves. They sure do. And they have the highest indication of Rh null in the world in one group. And I think that's pretty telling right there. that we had animal farms. And, you know, these bird beings, they seeded some of these families here. And we came from bird people, and that's my mom's mother's side of the family. You know, these families all have certain traits. They're musical, you know, they're musicians. A lot of them are self-taught. They're very good at being teachers, orators, artists, you know, a lot of different creative type things as these bird people. They have, you know, photographic memories, very creative people, you know, extremely spiritual. And a lot of the Native Americans are from these bird people, and they have it on their totem. The item, the animal that is closest to the ground on a totem, a family totem, is the most sacred of their animals. And a lot of them, it is the thunderbird. They claim to come from the bird beings. Some of them claim to come from the bears. Some come to claim lineage from the wolves. And a lot of them, you know, through hybridization and, you know, blending of their tribes, that they have brought all of these different DNA templates together. And, you know, unfortunately, not all of these different species were compatible. So this is where we started getting malware codes. But I do know, I'm pretty sure that, you know, the reptilian genetics that come in through my family come in through my mom's father's side. And this is where we have the Masonic connection, the sex abuse, and different types of things that ran in that family line. And and, you know, thank God that my mother was never subject to that. But, you know, she was never alone with my great-grandpa either. But he was a Mason. He had his Mason ring. You know, you know, I didn't know until I was an adult and I was doing my family history that he was a pedophile. And so that was quite disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. But, you know, my great-grandmother, she died from colon cancer, and that is a cancer that is often manifested from being resentful and holding in anger and not having a voice. You know, repressing rage and anger causes stomach cancer and bowel and colon cancer. Loss of children causes testicular cancer and breast cancer in women, and starting in the left breast, according to German New Medicine. So it's an interesting thing how these things imprint on your family lines, the different things that go with these different genetic bloodlines and where they come from. And you know, the interesting thing about my mom's father's side is that their last name was Royal. and you know, and they're a big military family, big military family. All the way goes back to all of these naval people, you know, these big naval people and captains and all of these ships that go back hundreds and hundreds of years. And they have all this documentation on the family in the Library of Congress on like 50 discs, and I haven't explored it yet. It'd take forever for me to do it, and which I plan to, because I want to see where they really go back to. I really go back to. So there's one thing that I want you guys to look at when you have free time, is I want you to look at the Queen's coin. And this is a metal coin, and it has a golden coin, and it's like the size of a plate, and it has all these animals around the outside. And she claims to be the queen of these animals, but on the front side is the red dragon, which is, you know, is this reptilian genetics. But, you know, there used to be these majestic groups, but we've fallen. There's been a fallen in the reality, a fallen away in polarity, and we've had a lot of things that has happened due to hybridization. So the one thing is that we got to understand what's happening here. We got to know what's happening here. We got to know what we can do. And the first thing is that we have to come together as communities. We're going to have to all start, you know, growing our own food, doing community gardens, outreach programs, and bartering. This is going to be the only way that we're going to get through the shift, is that we're going to have to exchange goods and services with each other and build senses of community in our own neighborhoods. And this is going to be dire, because money is a source of control. And, you know, of course, we have to pay for the essential things that we have. So if we can offset a lot of these financial systems by offering goods and services directly with each other and just eliminating the paper, right? The paper to start with, we can become more self-sustainable. And so this is the one thing that I have decided to head first into with every bit of energy that I've got is this community garden. So today, you know, I'm just kind of chronicling it, is that today I set up a group on some social media platforms for our community so we can start engaging. And I have sign-up sheets that I'm going to go put up around my neighborhood in just a few minutes, and you know, get people to sign up so we can get our committee going. And so the next thing is that we're on our way to forming a committee. And I'm waiting to hear back from a local school that has a community garden that's been doing one for quite some time. So I'm going to sign up at the school, and I'm going to shadow the teacher. So I'm just waiting for him to call me back. And he's a classmate of mine from junior high school and high school. So, you know, everybody in this town knows everybody. So I'm super excited. And, you know, even the school is super excited about, you know, being involved in helping the community to expand the community, you know, and I hope that I'm going to be able to learn this and I can pass this torch along. You know, I want to help people. I want all of us to be able to step into this golden age and no longer be slaves to the matrix. And so, you know, it's going to require some work. Yeah, we're going to have to do the work. We're going to have to put on our big boy pants, and we're going to have to bite the bullet. Really are. We really are. And you know what? It's going to be growing pains in the best way possible. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, the precession of the equinox is telling us everything that we need to know. So we know right here that originally that it was the bird beings that were here, and it was together, Archangel Michael, these were Venusian people, and this is where we get the griffin. This is exactly where the griffin came in, and this is where you get Christ consciousness. This is Christ consciousness. This was the divine blueprint being brought to this planet 3.5 billion years ago by Vega, Alpha Lyrae, and Cruxus. Cruxus has been back. A crux has been back quite a few times over the time, and they were bringing Christ consciousness back. And I'm going to go over that in another video because this has already got 27 minutes long, but I'm going to come back in another video and I am going to show you when this Christ consciousness was brought back on our poles, literally throughout these incremental periods every 26,000 years, divided by 4 or divided by 6 or divided by 8. I will show you when a crux was on the poles and what was happening on the planet in history during those times, and the anthropology and the archaeology and the histories, and we're going to go over all of that, and it's really some interesting stuff. It's really some interesting stuff. So we've got to follow the facts instead of, you know, people saying, oh, I channeled this in and this and that. We got to confirm this stuff, you know. I have like all of these crazy things that happen to me. I go all these different places in my sleep. But, you know, I have to connect the dots to myself. You know, I doubt myself until I can substantiate or confirm that other people have had these kind of things, or I can read them in books, or I can find something in history that talks about these types of experiences. And so, you know, everything that I've been through in my life, there are other people that have experienced these exact same things. And I wouldn't even be talking about this stuff right now if there were not other people that have come forward, you know, because people have always looked at me like I'm complete batshit crazy. So we're going to bring evidence here. We're going to bring evidence here. And I started getting the raw material, the Law of One material. So I ordered all these books, and you know what? You can order these off of Thrift Books, and they are so affordable. I mean, you can afford to get these books and study. And this is good material. This is good material. I've listened to some of it on Audible, but you can't get all the books on there. So I'm going to finish reading this Return of the Bird Tribes, and if you guys are interested in reviewing all this Law of One stuff, we will. Because it's like I said, the bird beings are back. They told me they were back. They told me they were back. The birds are back, baby. And it's the return of the third bird. It's the return of the third bird. So anyway, with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here because we're living past, present, and the future all at the same time. Don't forget to get outside today. Put your feet in the grass. Take off your shoes. Put your feet in the grass and give thanks to the Heavenly Father and the Divine Mother, Mother Earth, because the bird beings are back. The planets are lined up on the pole. All of the beings are coming back. All the cryptids, everything, all polarity, and every which way in between is on its way back to the planet. So, I hope to catch you on the next one. We can do this, folks. We can do this together. We can make our communities flourishing. We can be independent, self-sustaining, and we can check out of this matrix. So thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.